welcome Sophie!
Hi, I'm Sophie, and I'm a second-year senior in design. For my Zenith project, I made 2 handmade jewelry sets using different color schemes, with each set including a bracelet, necklace, and foam charm. I decided to do this for my Zenith because I thought it would be fun to try something new and step out of my comfort zone in terms of the kind of art I usually create. Most of my experience is with digital art and design, so I wanted to challenge myself by making something physical and hands-on instead. I was also inspired by seeing friends and other people on social media make handmade jewelry, so I thought it would be fun to try making it myself. I started my project by looking for inspiration and creating a mood board. The specific style of jewelry I wanted to make was cluster jewelry, so I looked on Pinterest and other social media platforms to find inspiration, photos that matched the aesthetic I was going for. I also created different color schemes for each jewelry set. The color scheme for the first set was pastel pink, green, and white, and the color scheme for the second set was pastel blue, purple, and white. The materials I used for this project included eye pins and head pins, jump rings, lobster clasps, chain extenders, chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, phone charm straps, and beads for each of the color schemes I made. I started the production process by sketching out potential designs for each jewelry piece. To create the sketches, I referenced the inspiration pictures from my mood board and used them to help plan the bead placement, spacing, and overall layout of each design. Before making the jewelry, I watched some YouTube tutorials to learn how to properly use the materials and tools, especially because I had never worked with jewelry making supplies before. And I started the bracelet making process by choosing which beads I wanted to use and deciding where to place them in the bracelet layout. And since this was cluster jewelry, I also chose smaller beads to place in between the main beads to create like little dangling accents and add more detail to the bracelets. And those can be seen over here. After finalizing the layout, I started assembling the bracelet. For each main bead, I first placed the bead onto an eye pin and then trimmed the extra wire using the wire cutter on my round nose pliers, and then used the pliers to create the loop to secure the bead. And then after repeating that process for all of the main beads, I did the same for the smaller beads, except this time I used head pins instead of eye pins. A head pin is similar to an eye pin, except instead of having a loop on the other end, it has a flat end that prevents the bead from falling off. And once all of the beads were attached to the pins, I used jump rings to connect the bead sections into a chain-like structure. And then I grouped multiple beads onto each jump ring and then linked all of those together. And then I attached the chain extender and lobster clasps. This is the bracelet I made for set number 1, and this is the bracelet for set number 2. When making the necklaces, I used a similar process, but instead of connecting groups of beads together with jump rings like I did for the bracelets, I connected the eye pins directly to one another to create a smoother chain for the necklace. And I only used jump rings for attaching the smaller beads. And I placed more of the smaller beads towards the center of the necklace, since that area would be most visible when worn. Since the necklaces use more beads overall than the bracelets, I also tried to spend more time thinking about the balance and making sure the colors and bead sizes were evenly distributed throughout the design. And this is the necklace for set 1, and this is the necklace for set 2. For the phone charms, I used the same general process as the bracelet and necklaces, but I used fewer beads so the charms wouldn't feel too heavy or bulky when put on a phone. After designing the layout, I secured the beads onto the eye pins and head pins the same way as before. And then I connected the pieces using jump rings and attached the finished chain to the phone charm strap. Even though the phone charms were smaller, I still tried my best to match the color palette and aesthetic of each jewelry set. And this is the phone charm for set 1, and this is the phone charm for set 2. This is the final jewelry pieces for set 1 with the bracelet on the left, the necklace in the middle, and the phone charm on the right. And these are the finished pieces for set number 2. And I also have the finished jewelry sets on this display as well. Looking back on this project, one of the challenges I faced was almost running out of materials for certain beads and eye pins. And if I were to do this project again, I would probably start with the necklaces first since they used the most beads and required the most variety in the design, and then I would move on to the other pieces. Another challenge I encountered was making the loops with the head pins. I found that creating loops on head pins was a lot harder than eye pins because I had to make the loops without using the pre-existing loop as support, and I still had to make them look as even and secure as possible. But over time, I became more comfortable with using the tools and improved my technique through practice. Overall, this project was a really fun and rewarding experience. Since I usually focus on more digital art and design, it was interesting getting to explore a different type of art that was much more hands-on and physical. I also learned a lot about patience and precision and paying attention to detail, especially because every bead had to be assembled individually. I'm really happy with how the final jewelry sets turned out, and I'm glad I got the chance to challenge myself by trying something completely new.
First of all, this is so awesome, but I was wondering, where did you find these beads? Because they're so beautiful.
I found them on Etsy.
Wow.
Katie?
How did you decide on like the theme of them?
I used like other jewelry as inspiration, and then when I was looking for beads, I kind of just chose the ones that I liked and then created the color scheme based off of them. Jackson?
Do you think you'd make an Etsy shop or something like that?
Maybe if I have time. Yeah. Emma?
I want to say like the jewelry looks so pretty, and like
Thank you.
you can tell like you spent a lot of time like laying it out. So like yeah, it looks really good.
Thank you. Brandon?
Did you take any precautions to not lose the little things? I feel like I'd lose stuff.
Yeah, I had like a Ziploc bag with all of my materials, and they all came in like separately packaged. Mr. Flynn?
Are you planning to wear these only for special occasions, or do you wear them daily, or what's your plan for these?
I was thinking of maybe like wearing them for special occasions or maybe giving them to some of my friends or my siblings.